You know they got that same name with different point of views. Whichever one you choose, you can't lose. They got that same name, different point of views. Whichever one you choose, you can't lose. Keisha and Keisha, man.
Knowledge, wisdom, and discernment. Keisha, you don't got it, you can get some if you heard them.
Keisha and Keisha, man.
Knowledge, wisdom, and discernment. Keisha, you don't got it, you can get some if you heard them. We gon' laugh, have a good time. Just sit back and elevate your mind.
Hello, everybody. It is Thursday night, and you are tuned in for another episode of Keisha and Keisha. We are going to talk about it, everything from suicide prevention to kids having sex to parents moving in. So we ask you to join in on the discussion. Of course, we put questions up on my Facebook page, and it's interesting to see the stuff that people add, and so to keep our tap on our generation. So Keisha, let's dig right into it. Did you do your tagging already?
No. I just stopped doing it because I don't want to have us buffering.
Hey.
So I tell people, go do what they need to do.
Try a couple and see if it'll buffer.
Really?
Yeah,
you really
try it.
Want to be buzzing like that?
Yeah, do it. Let's just see.
Oh,
Maybe
Lord,
I land up the wattage on the
Girl,
the Wi-Fi.
Your landlord probably said,
Hey,
shit,
Eric, how are you?
define us.
Man, we getting close to that 5-0. We need to plan a trip.
We playing it.
Yes, it's gonna be
You just
going.
gotta
It's gonna be
give us
down
the-
in 2021.
You
Stand
supposed
up,
to be giving us the
deets.
information.
the deets, as we say.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the first question: What would you do if you caught your child having sex in your house?
Child, my children ain't that crazy.
What would you do if you caught them? No,
My
Would
children
that-
ain't
would that-
crazy.
because I think there are more millennial parents now that would not react the way our parents did. Do you think you would react the way our parents did, or do you think you would kind of do this more millennial way now?
More millennial way.
Yeah, you know what, they just sent 'em
I
down.
do the country way.
What's the
Ain't
country
nobody
way?
having sex in here but me.
Only person paying the bills, huh?
If you ain't doing that, then no.
Okay, so
Ain't
check
no
this out.
pleasure for you.
All right, so check this out. There's a guy, I couldn't get, one of my students told me about it, and I was trying to get the guy's name, so I don't want to say his name and mess it up. But he's a rapper, and apparently he went live on Facebook because he came home, went up to his son's room, and caught his son, two of their homeboys, and this girl all in the bed. And they all under the age of 17. So he put them all down and they were sitting on the thing, and some people were clowning them for
Whose
going
girl
live.
is this?
Okay, and so he's saying to them, he was like, do you understand, like, you consented to this? And she just shaking her head. And so he was like, do you know the type of life you living at 15, 16 years old right now? If you doing this, what you gonna be doing when you get older? Like, he is just going in on him. And he's clowning his son. He's talking about just how nasty and irresponsible they are, and just all this kind of everything. And then he says to the girl,
How you talk that?
right, he says, get on the phone and call your mama right now. And she goes, I don't have no phone. He said, I got 3 of them. Pick one of them. And he made her call her parents and made the other 2 boys call their parents. So what if you would have been on that other end and got that phone call?
And I had a daughter.
Okay, so does it matter?
No, I'm just saying. Am I the?
I'm just
Am I
asking.
the parent of the daughter or the boy?
So it does matter.
I'm just saying it's the way I'm gonna respond.
That's
Yes,
what I'm saying.
yes.
Okay,
Bring your ass home.
you wouldn't
yeah.
say that to both of them, though?
Yeah, but I'm saying it'd be different for the girl. I mean, for me, and I think it should be a different response because the girl is the one that's outnumbered in this sexual.
By choice now.
escapade. Yeah, by choice.
Okay.
So I want to explain to her, with her being outnumbered, what she's consented to.
So do you think if it was the boy that was outnumbered, you'd feel the same way? I mean, I just don't really. I think if people being honest, they probably wouldn't feel the same way with the son or the
I
daughter.
feel like multiple people, and it's, it's. I guess I'm about to be prudish, and I don't want to be prudish because people get
Oh, now come on with it.
But I think that it used to have something to do with love and
having relationships.
Yeah,
But I mean, come on, line. Let's be honest.
No, I'm saying
running
that's
trains
the way
on girls is not something new, right?
No,
it's been
we're
down
not
for
saying that. I'm
years.
saying the act of having sex used to be between a partner that you felt you had a connection with.
Yeah.
So with her being with 3 boys and the 3 boys being with her, there's no connection. Y'all just doing something.
But okay, so then what do you think in this girl? Like, okay, because a lot of millennials, I'll say it. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Yeah, now they're
See?
talking about that. Hey, be free, do what you want. You know, have sex if
Yeah.
you want, this and that. But my thing
But
is,
they're under 18 and
Okay,
in my house.
but
so
I s-
you need your own house.
but
your
even if
own
you were
place. You do
25, you want boys running, men
no,
running
but
trains on
this
you?
the thing. If you got your own house, it's your own rules. You
Really?
don't get to do that at my house. No, yeah, really.
No, I don't think you can
tell
do-
grown people
I'm
how to
just
have
saying-
sex. We're talking about kids.
Okay.
So if I do have rules in my house, and no, that's not going to happen. Now you get your own house and you can do whatever you want.
Okay, because I will promise you there are so many parents nowadays that I come in contact with, or kids who may have gotten put out from their house and now they living with the girlfriend or they living with the boyfriend.
And who
And
let them
I'm
do that?
telling you, and it gets to the point where, you know, they young, they trying to be all, W or whatever. And so there were situations that happen where the girl may get tired of him or the boy may get tired of her, and now they DMing other people, and then now they all in school cutting up and doing all this kind of stuff.
And
I
they
don't
live together.
And they live together. Because the mama and daddy let them stay the night every night at their house.
Woo.
Who on this earth that I don't think I have any friends.
So it ain't the kid's fault.
Now, and I'll tell you this.
No, it ain't the kid's fault. If the parents are doing this, it's the parents' fault. It ain't the kids, because you're supposed to be guiding children.
Yeah.
Even when they're teenagers. So
Yeah.
if that's your guidance, then that's on you.
Okay, because I will tell you this. DJ came home and he bought the girlfriend and his roommate, and all of them stayed with us. Of course, they didn't stay in the same bed and do nothing, whatever. And then, one time they were in there, just chilling or whatever in his room, all of them. And then I guess Tyron went to the other room, and so him and Tanai was left there. And Doja was like, "Hey, leave this door open." And that's at 19, 20 years old. So same sort of deal.
See, this is what I said before.
Yeah.
About being in your own place.
Right.
You have to respect the person's house. And if
Yes.
my rule is to leave the door open, that's my rule.
But
you got to respect that.
Can we take it a step further, though? I mean, and this is just me. I don't feel as though any young girl or older woman allowing men to run trains on them. Like, what is going on in your head?
But this is a different, and this is where I need to tell you,
Yeah.
being an adult and making that decision is different than being a
But you
younger,
still-
but that's your decision to make.
No,
You
so
can
I'm
run
not.
any-
I'm not.
you-
I'm not trying to say that
Yeah,
part.
but
I'm
I'm
just saying
saying-
about mentally what's going on with you. Period.
No, but
either
that's
making
your
that decision.
But that's a decision that you make. And if you're in your own household, I don't care. I'm still with Stephanie on this. What goes on between 9 and 9:30 is your business. I don't care about grown people letting men run trains on them. That don't bother me. But for a teenager and everybody's young, y'all don't know what y'all doing. You trying to wear big grown people. You
so-
trying to be an adult and you're not.
Okay, so then that's what I'm trying to say to you. And I guess I hear what you're saying, but I'm thinking like, where's that okay? Period.
It's okay for you to have freedom of sexuality to do what you want to. I'm not in the business of telling adults how to have sex.
Okay.
And she might, as a 45-year-old woman, she might want 3 men. That's her business. She can handle that if it's at her house. Just don't come to my house trying to have no orgy.
All right, so I see
No.
some people are joining us. We'd love for you guys to weigh in on that. If you caught your child having sex, does it make a difference if it's a boy or a girl? All right, so here's another topic. Is it true what they say about turning 40?
What do they say?
That you just don't give two
I
rats?
think so. You hear me? You hear the way I'm talking? I really don't care. And you be like, you really don't. I really don't. I mean, I used to worry about so
Yeah.
much stuff, and now I'm like, you know what? I don't have time.
Oh, my God.
And I seen the meme. Have you seen the meme about being 40 and date? Either we're gonna do this or not do it.
Yeah.
I ain't got time to be trying
Yeah.
to. Ooh, we can date men. No,
Yeah.
we either doing this or not.
Or
I
we
got
doing
other
it or
stuff
we
to do.
not. We got other stuff. And you know what? I remember right before I turned 40, you start to feel that. I don't care what anybody say. It's just this transformation that
felt
happens
it.
in you.
I felt
Yeah.
it.
And even though if you're a confident person in your 20s and your 30s and all this kind of stuff, and you really, go on this whole thing, I don't care what nobody think about me, blah, blah. But even, it's just something about turning 40 that just turns on something in you where you just be like,
I'm tired of this bra.
Kick
I'm
rocks.
tired of these underwear.
Right.
You know what I'm telling you? This is stuff that never used to bother me before.
Right.
I didn't want to wear a bra, but
Right.
when I turned 40, I was like, this is torture. I feel like I'm being tortured right now.
Yeah.
And I guess
what is the first thing I said to you before we got started? I can't wait to get home and take this bra.
take all this mess off. But I think for us, it's like we we lived a certain way, and then
Yeah.
you turn 40 and you realize it's all right to
Yeah.
it's all right to not go to this place. It's all right to not be around people that
Right,
don't like you.
right.
It's all right to go back to bed. I mean, before it'd be like, everybody to know that
Failure,
I slept
missing
all
out,
day.
yeah, and
now
all that
I'm
kind
like,
of stuff. Yeah,
no.
I truly believe if you have not hit 40 yet and you're getting close to that, oh my goodness, it's
Let
a
us
whole
know how you feel,
baby. It's a whole
baby,
nother
I
thing.
am happy.
Yes. Okay. Would you put your parents in a home or move them into your home?
So this is what happened a few weeks ago.
Okay.
My father called me, and he was so serious. My dad is never really serious. And he said, I want you to promise if something happens to me that you'll take care of your mom. And I said, oh, okay, sure. I said, I'm just going to give you a heads up. I'm going to put her in the nearest nursing home that's near my house. He said, no, I want you to take care. I was like, you going to be dead. You have no say so after you dead.
God.
And for me and her to get along, that's what's going to have to happen.
This gonna have to happen. That
I
y'all have
said, I
separate.
can't do what you do. See, my mom treats my dad really bad, and she treats me even worse.
Oh,
and we're
God.
the two people that take all the heat. And my
Oh,
two
God.
brothers, they don't take no heat. I don't think they do. They might think they do, but I don't think they take no heat. And so my dad is like, no, I want you to, no, you can't make me deal with my mama and she gonna give me all this heat.
Right. So I thought about that too, and I'm thinking about even me. So my mom is getting older, my grandmother's even older. They kind of live together, and I'm going, goodness. So she's thinking about kind of relocating the next couple of years and moving this way, and we're gonna find her. You know, she just wants to have her own space. But I think if she got to the point where I had to care for her on a full-time basis, I probably would want to move her in, so that I wouldn't have to do all that. Like I would do that even for my in-laws too. You know, that's just who I am. Like I would just tough it out and deal with it. You know, find me, maybe
But there's a side to
drink
that.
an extra glass of wine or something. I don't know.
But there's a side to it that everybody need to know before they do it.
Right.
The caregivers, it's a lot of work on you.
It
and
is.
I've seen
It is.
caregivers die before the person they're taking care of.
Your
Because
cousin
they,
Jason said Dink and Poon don't want that smoke.
okay, and he know what smoke I'm talking about. So, but I'm saying, the caregivers, they tend to forget to take their medicine if
Yeah.
they own hypertension or
You
whatever.
said the caregivers or the
The caregivers.
givers? Okay, their
Yeah,
own medicine.
Yeah, the
Oh,
caregivers
okay.
forget to take care of themselves
Oh,
because they're
okay.
taking care of the person that they moved in to take care of,
Mm-hmm.
and then they end up meeting their demise earlier.
But here's the deal. I think it's all about communication, because one thing about me, I'm very observant. And so when I see other people go through things or experience other stuff, I find myself being proactive. I hate being reactive to stuff.
I
And
hate
so,
being reactive.
yes. And I told my cousin, I have
I'm
a
a
cousin
planner.
who, some things happened with her mom. And so she had to make some choices. And I kept telling her, I was like, listen, be proactive. Like, know the plan, talk it out, know what you're going to do. And granted, you cannot, talk about the unforeseen. So right now, guys, we're talking about, would you move your parents home or would you put them in a home? And so anyway, she had the option to figure out some things. And like you said, she got stressed out. She was so worried about things. I mean, just
Got
all
sick,
this kind of
probably
stuff.
got sick.
Yeah. And so my thing is, I just would prefer to have a plan. Have a plan. We talk it out well before anything for the just in case. It's almost like having insurance.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
so this is what happened with my grandmother. She's 85. She'll be 86 at the end of this year. She was born on New Year's Eve. She said a long time ago she didn't want to go to no nursing home. She don't care who.
Your grandma
do it.
said
yeah.
that?
Oh, she
Okay.
said she not going to no nursing home.
Okay.
And my daddy be down there rubbing her feet and doing everything. But that's the other part. He's got so many health issues and he's trying to take care of her. And then my
Right.
mom got health issues. I said he gonna be dead before either one of them.
Yeah, because it usually falls on one sibling.
Yeah.
I mean, you
And
can have
he's in
10 brothers
town.
and
He lives
sisters.
there.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can have 10 brothers and sisters, and it's usually one sibling that ends up taking the
takes the-
brunt,
taking the
and then
bulk.
everybody else got something to say, and you be looking at them like, come on.
Well, and then my thing, like what you were saying earlier about having a plan,
Mm-hmm.
my thing is also, I have children.
Mm-hmm.
So what if you got to plan out so DJ don't end up trying to take care of you because you trying to take care of them.
Yeah.
So it's got to be something that makes sense for
Right.
everybody. So one person don't get run down.
Right.
So
right.
if you're able to do it and you're on schedule and you feel good and y'all
Yeah.
able to live together, but if we're all going to be stressed out over this living arrangement,
Right.
you can go to a nursing home and I can visit.
Yeah,
And we'll be
but
fine.
see, and to me, I don't like nursing homes. Like, I don't even like going to visit them. Like our church does, and it just gives me the willies because I just feel like,
Oh,
and
no.
I
I think think I would love it.
Well, I'm just
I think I'd be the Blanche in that nursing home.
Oh my
What?
God! You know, so that's where you find most STDs and everything
That's
else.
what
They probably be
said.
running trains in the nursing home.
Hey, I'll be up in the nursing home keeping it lit.
Keeping
What?
it lit. Okay. Because I just feel like when people feel like you're being taken care of, they are less likely to visit and do all that kind of stuff. So you end up spending a lot of time alone. Like, I don't know. I mean, getting old is kind of scary.
Girl. But
in
what
some
about
ways.
Golden Girls? Because me and my
Now I
friends
would
was
do
talking
that.
about
I
moving
would,
to Miami, getting a house.
girl, I would
What?
move in with some homegirls and we just be fussing and fighting all day.
Yes.
I got a couple of them I move in with seriously and
We
be like,
already know I'm
Yeah.
Blanche
Yeah.
or Dorothy.
Oh,
They don't
God.
know which one, but I'm not Rose and I'm not.
I think
Sophia.
I'm definitely Dorothy.
I'm Blanche. I'm either gonna be Blanche or Dorothy.
Yeah, but I got some homegirls
Either
who I
I'm
would.
gonna be free spirited or
Yeah. Like if we had like a 10 bedroom like ranch
that's too
where
many
everybody
people,
had
yeah.
their own 10 bedrooms so that you can the grandkids and kids.
Yeah,
I'm not
but
talking about everybody living there.
Oh,
I'm
I'm
saying
about to say that's too much.
Yeah,
room.
no, I'm
Damn,
saying
you
like-
want them to get a hotel.
Nah,
too.
I'm
Don't come
like
here.
4 or 5, and then we have a few, 6 bedrooms, and then that way everybody can have their little space when they just want to kind of da, and then we all come together. I think that would be kind of cool, and you know, have discussed that.
Yeah, we talked about
So
it. And
do-
everybody, and they all took care of each other. Like
Yeah.
the Golden Girls that,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
had each other to
Yeah.
take care of each other. They had each other.
All right, so do you still, do people still go on romantic dates, or do you think social media and cell phones have like totally connect captive? Now listen to me. I'm not just saying, even if you go on a date, are you there into that person being romantic, or everybody's in their phones and you know what I'm saying?
So this happened to me. Oh my God. So earlier in August, I went to Miami and me and my boo went on a date.
You got a boo?
Yeah, always.
Okay.
I got a couple.
Okay.
Anyway,
You
so
got a
we
couple
went-
of boos.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got them numbered.
Okay.
So we went on a date, and the restaurant we went to, they was like, if you don't mind sharing with this other couple.
Wait,
this
before you
is-
finish that, hold on. So Juanita said, I have already told my children to leave me in my own home, even though I have to crawl up the stairs.
Well,
So
and that's how my
Juanita,
grandmother was.
listen,
She wanna
I
stay
will
in her own
definitely
home.
come. Just call me. I'll come help you.
So
Wait a minute. And then it says, Mary Ann Bradley. She
Yes,
says,
that's
I plan on
my
putting
cousin.
myself in one because if my children feel like I'm an inconvenience to them, I don't want to be a burden. If they're not willing, I'm not going to hinder them.
Well, and then my thing is you got nurses there who know what they're doing. So my mama was like, she didn't want me to take care of her anyway because she said I wasn't going to comb her hair and stuff. I was like, what? You would comb your hair, but not the way I want it. You're not going to put me on the clothes. You're not going to iron my clothes. What they got to be ironed for? Where you going? She mad 'cause
But I
she
just
want
don't-
me-
I
She
do
want to
not-
boss me around. I was like,
Listen,
no.
I
see.
do not. I pray that I am not like. I find now even struggling with my mom sometimes to keep her positive with things. Like it could be something wonderful that hurt her, and she will say something negative, and I'll be like, "Can we keep it on the positive side?" That was my words. Like, can we keep it on the positive side? Because I'm like just now, she bought a new bed, right? She's like, "Oh, I got me a new bed." She got the one you can let up and let down. So excited. Then what
I
does she
want
do?
that.
Then she had to complain about her sister coming over there and breaking the bed. What if my sister come over here and break the bed? What are we
She
talking
ain't
about?
broke it.
Girl, just she be doing the most, and I can't. What's up, G Money?
Nurse home got them beds. They
I
go
think
up and down.
I'm more than sure Layla gonna put G Money in a home. She ain't moving G Money in her house.
Layla ain't let G Money cramp her style.
All right, so go
get
back to the romantic.
dating.
Yeah, the romantic dating.
So
So okay,
we-
so let me tell you. The question is, do people still go on romantic dates, or has social media and cell phones hijacked the romance out of dating? Go ahead.
So me and my boo, we're at this restaurant, and they asked
Mm-hmm.
if we didn't mind sharing our table. Two couples to share a table because
Mm-hmm.
that's all they had left. And we looked at the other couple, another young black couple, and we was like, cool, we don't care if y'all don't care. And they said no, they didn't care. So me and him sat next to each other, and
Okay.
the couple sat across from us.
Okay.
And they both had their phones. They was just.
Going back and forth.
They was just
They-
looking
they-
at their
they
phone.
let- they let
I
the-
couldn't even figure out if they were friends or a couple.
Oh, wow.
And I was showing him something on my phone, but we eventually put the phone down. It was
Mm-hmm.
like, let me show you this, and then the phone went away, and we started talking and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But the couple, they didn't look up until their food came.
That's crazy.
And I was telling him, I said, are they a couple? Because I can't tell. I couldn't tell if they were
Right.
romantically involved or just decided to come out and eat
Right,
together.
right.
I couldn't tell because they both were on their phones and the phones down to eat, but they didn't even talk then. and I was.
So I really
I'm
do
like-
think if we statistically look at that, I think social media and cell phones have hijacked the romance out of romantic dating. And Stephanie
That's
says
if you
yes to
allow it.
romantic dates, but I do think that's
I
what's
said
happening.
we allow it because
Yeah.
even with me and him, we don't get to see each other a lot
Right.
face to face. So it was
And-
let
and
me
that
show
makes
you
it-
something,
yeah.
and then we got to talking and we look at each other.
So do you
and we
think
were
it's a
We were making
difference?
fun of them. We were
Right,
like,
but do
what
you
are
think
they?
it's a difference? Like I said, you don't get to see them often. So people who get to see each other every day and have to come up with stuff to talk about or whatever,
or they
Mhm.
or they've talked all day or something. So maybe I don't know. I couldn't. I just could not. I could not differentiate whether they were friends,
Right.
or whether they were. No hand holding, no
Right.
look at each other in the
Yeah,
eyes.
yeah.
They would look up occasionally, but they weren't even communicating
with each other.
with each other. Through
So Stephanie
social
says,
media.
I think that what you're doing is a sign that you really are into your boo. And I think that that's the thing.
I
Like
am.
they have these new things at schools and at lectures where you can take these companies that started this, where you grab this little bag when you walk in, you put your cell phone in it, and it locks it. So you can't get into your cell phone until you leave and go back to the machine where it unlocks it.
That's
So it's
good.
like a little latch on it or whatever that closes the phone up, and then when you head out, you know, almost like a scanner, or you know how when they take the thing off your clothes.
I think for the
Hang on to your phone, but you can't use it in lectures. You can, and I think they should do that in restaurants and stuff too, like ban phones, because it's like people need to get back to it. Stephanie
Well,
said,
you-
if you're friends, you want to be with them and not your Facebook feed.
Yeah, so we went to breakfast back in June. My brother took us to neighborhood cafe, and it's a sign. I took a picture of it. It said, "No, we do not have Wi-Fi. Talk to your talk to
Yeah,
your
they
people."
remember we went to breakfast and
Yeah.
they said that.
And
Mary
the
Ann
sign
said,
says, "No,
Miss-
we don't have Wi-Fi."
Mary Ann Bradley said that is what my first date was like with her husband. She said he turned off his cell phone so they could just be them.
Yes.
So, and G, for
She
the
married
money,
my cousin.
for the bed hadn't even made it to my mom's house yet. She's already foreseeing that her sister's gonna do something with it. So we were just talking about her being, not being negative. But okay, so are you on? Do you think that romantic dating has been hijacked by phones?
No, I think if you allow it, but my thing is romantic dates. What do you consider to be romantic?
Mhm.
Because I was looking at them going, I don't know what's going on over here. And we were talking about them, and they didn't even realize we were talking about them because they was on their phone.
All right, so
But no, I think that going and ordering food and looking at each other, tasting stuff off
Right.
each other's plate,
Right.
discussing the food,
just
I mean,
being in love. And I get that everybody is not the mushy in love type of people or whatever, and I am like an uber super romantic person. Like I just love it. I love all of that, and most people don't, but I do think that when you go to any place and you look around, you'll see, especially with young people, it has hijacked the romance out of relationships,
Okay, I got another incident.
because they too busy trying to figure out who you liking on this, and it's just too much.
Well, I don't even know what they were looking at. I don't know if they were Snapchatting. I don't know
Right.
what they was doing. I was like, I don't think it was Facebook and
Right,
nothing like
right,
that.
right.
But anyway, a few months ago, we went to breakfast here, me and my boo.
Yeah.
And we walked in, and it was a white couple next to us, and they were the lady kept frowning at us. I said, if racists had a look, it would be this lady's look. She just looked like a racist, and I was like,
Okay.
we were the only black people at this fight. We've been to
Yeah.
places where we're the only black people,
Uh-huh.
and so every time he would show me something, and we'll start laughing, she'll just
Frown up.
yeah, and so
Why?
I have no idea. So he got, and I wouldn't tell him, so he didn't know. So I
Yeah.
was like, you're not ruining my breakfast date because
Right.
we having a good time. And we were flirting with our waitress. Me and him was flirting with we both was flirting with her. So he got up to leave the table, and our food came out, and the waitress brought our food out, and she brought the food out. She was real nice, and the white lady, y'all, she could not take it anymore. She exploded. She said, "How did they get their food before we did? I don't know. We were here before them." And the lady wasn't even her waitress. She was like, I think your food came up when theirs did, but I'm not your waitress. Your waitress gonna have to bring you your food."
Right.
And I was like,
Well, why was she pushing all this anger out on you? That's
she
crazy.
was rolling her eyes at us the whole time. I said,
Oh, wow.
if a racist had a look, and that was the fact that we were enjoying ourselves, and her husband or man, She wasn't even talking to him. She was looking at us. I was like, how are you?
I think I saw this thing one time that was talking about that. Like, if you could put your attention and your focus on your mate and let them do the same for you, and you guys spend your time together, and that's in any situation, and stay out of everybody else's stuff, you'll be okay. All right, so this month is Suicide Prevention Month.
I didn't know.
And we're going to talk a little bit about what that looks like in a little bit. But do you think the kids today are more suicidal than we were when we were kids?
I think so, because of social media.
Wow.
Because they could get bullied that way, not just in face to face. Now you could be bullied by an unknown person.
Right.
You know, they can make up a profile and do whatever.
Right.
And then people are so, almost going back about your mom, can be so negative.
Yeah.
And they can give off this negative energy. And I've noticed that with Facebook, where people go out there and put all their business, and I realize that I'm bringing in their negative energy
Right.
into my good space. I don't even want to hear half this crap y'all talking about. You know, I'm beefing with so-and-so. So-and-so don't even know you beefing with them. They
Right.
ain't even know here.
Right, right, exactly.
They won't even say their name. You don't even tag. So I'm beefing with a lady that she know who she is.
Yeah.
And you be like, what? And I mean, you start internalizing some of
Right.
this negativity. So you got to learn to shut it out. And I
Yeah.
don't think the young people know how to shut it out.
I think one of the biggest things too is that they talked about this like button and taking it off of Instagram and
saw
different
that.
places, because they were saying how kids get so addicted to it, to where, and I even asked my kids, no joke, we talked about this last week. I teach over 100 kids a day, and each class I said the same thing. I said, okay, y'all, tell me this. If you put something up, especially the girls, a picture or something or whatever, and you go the entire day and nobody has liked that picture,
Oh,
are
your
you
feelings hurt.
upset? And they were
Yes.
like, yes. I said, why? It's like,
Yes.
we're devastated. I said, so you're like a thirst trap. You do these things. He's like, no, I do it for me. I said, you don't do it for you. You got to realize why you're doing it. And they were like, if I open my phone up, you know, like say if the teacher because sometimes I'll take the phone. And she said, and most of them was like, if I go back to my phone, because I had taken all their phones. And I said, so right now, if you don't have any messages, any likes, anything, you're going to be upset. They're like, yes. And so some of them, they start comparing. Well, I got 15 and it got that bad.
Well, and for me, and me speaking personally, if I put up a picture of me, or let's say for instance me and my boo,
Right.
if I put that picture up, it's gonna get 100 and some likes.
What?
Because people will be like, oh, she
Stop
got
trying
somebody,
to,
and they
stop trying to act
No,
like
no,
you
no,
got
no,
all
no.
them fans.
No,
Keisha. You ain't
it
got
ain't
them Insta
fans.
fans.
It's nosy people. Everybody be hitting it because they being nosy. They want to know who your boo is.
But then you shouldn't have
But
that many
if I
nosy
put
people
up
in your life
something, if I put up something political that I think people should know, I might get 2 likes. So you look
Okay,
at it
so
and go,
so look at this.
I look at it and go, this is important.
So Mary-
but this over here is not.
Mary Bradley says they like broken homes and absent parents. But I think that broken homes and absent parents have been around for centuries. There's
Yeah,
been
but-
people who've had to raise kids on their block because whatever situation. At some point it was the height of drugs. At another point it was, different things, different stuff that caused people to take kids in villages raising kids. Everybody started minding their own business again, when really if you saw a kid in a need and you took them in and been like, listen, for a couple of weeks, let's figure out how this gonna work. But Stephanie said 13 Reasons Why, the movie. Did you see that?
Yes.
She said a lot
I
of
didn't see
suicide
season
attempts
2
after
and
that
3.
after that movie. She said it was a lot. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that, Stephanie.
Yeah.
And so after 13 Reasons Why, and I said this before, I talked to my son and his friend, and they were laughing at it because they was like, it was so stupid. Why did the chick try to kill herself over this? Because
Right.
once you go through, I'm not, spoiler alert, for the first season, it was, and I told them because girls internalize things different than boys. Where they found it silly, she found it life-ending.
Right. And you know what? I don't necessarily think that they find it that much silly. It's just that they ain't gonna admit it.
No, I'm saying, but when I was talking to them, they was like, that movie was so stupid. And the book, because they read the book, the book was so stupid. I didn't understand why she would kill herself over that.
Right.
Over that. And it's like, what you consider to be silly might not be for another person.
Yeah.
Like it's up something to hurt. I'm being silly, but it hurts your feelings.
Right.
And then you'll be like, I don't like that. I want to kill myself.
Right.
I didn't even know that would send you over the edge. So what we're
But that's
saying
the other
is
thing
you
I
don't-
think people
you
have
don't realize what you're doing
Yeah.
that could send somebody over the
Well,
edge.
and that's that sensitivity. Like, you know how sometimes bullies feel this way. Like, well, I can say what I want and I can do what I want and I can this and this and this. More mature people refrain from saying certain things and doing certain things because that's just a more mature thing to do. Everybody doesn't have the same level of confidence. Everybody doesn't have the same level of upbringing where somebody was supporting them and making them them feel good. Everybody's never hasn't gone through some stuff and had friends and stuff around to help them come up. There are so many people that are still in that space and been there for years, to the point where they like one hair from, like you said, sending them over the edge.
And this is the thing that I say to that. And the only thing I say to that is, if you know your triggers, get away from it, because you got to realize what triggers you. You the only person that knows what triggers you. Like people out here putting out their business. I think I defriended somebody. Every other word was a cuss word, not cuss, but hell, I know how to type without cussing every other word. And I was like, I don't want to read
You
this.
wait, let's stop for a second. You done unfended
I
somebody
friended
who
but
cussing
every other
too
word
much.
was cussing. Yes.
Let me.
And I
Come on,
but-
Jesus.
But I'm telling
Do
you
your
that.
thing, God.
But I'm telling you that this is something that aggravated me.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so something aggravated me. I don't have to deal with your aggravation. But kids don't know that. You don't know how to declutter the noise. So in other words, things that aggravate me, I don't have to deal with it. And they feel like they're obligated. You're not obligated. You are
Yeah.
in control of what's on your internet, your page.
Right.
When I had people that were so negative, I didn't have to block them. And
Now
girl,
there are
hold on.
some schools that are bringing yoga and meditation to the schools to teach kids how to de-stress from
yeah.
things, because
But-
I just don't think we do a good job of, when kids get in a crisis, to show them how to come out of it, how to bounce back from it, how to grow from it. They just keep internalizing until it just piles up to where they started feeling like they're
check
hopeless.
this out, Keisha. City Keisha. I go to Atlanta to my cousin's 50th birthday party, and one of my other cousins, we always at each other's throat. And he comes up to me and he goes, "Yeah, you blocked me on Facebook." And I said, "Dude, you are not that important for me to block you. You're not even nobody I would block." He honestly thought I blocked him, and I was like, "You not." Some people think that your life evolves around what they're doing.
Yeah.
And my life don't evolve around you. And I had to check it, because
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I did.
Well,
And
you
I
know
checked,
what,
And
but
I didn't block him. I
Right.
didn't block him, but I'm saying the things that we put in our head, thinking that somebody's done. And I'm like,
Well, there's some people that I done blocked and I ain't taking them back.
no,
I mean,
no,
like,
no,
that's
no.
just
I
the way it
blocked
goes.
people, but he wasn't one of them.
But you know, and after 40, you can block some folks in that sorry
it's
nari and get
okay.
your life. Like,
And you can defriend people. And maybe I defriended him, but
Okay.
I didn't block him. Defriended
So,
means
Tim-
I just don't get to see what you're scrolling. It just
Yeah.
means I don't have to see you on my
all right,
my wall.
so real quick, have the slavery model made it into the workplace? And the reason why I'm asking this
What
is
is that?
because when looking at how employees see black women, so it's the CEO that says he hires people in his leadership as black women because they're more loyal, they get stuff done, they're more diligent and committed to doing things. And when a friend of his, every time he visits one of his offices and stuff, he see it's been ran by these women. And then at the end, he made the comment about they were the same ones that were taking care of us and making sure we're okay from the beginning. So it's one of those things. Do you think that same mentality, like when you think about how, you people who enslaved folks and was like, the loyal ones became the house,
I want to say to him that it's not the slavery model, it's the African model. Because we're I consider myself African American. That women, that's what we were taught way before the colonizers brought us to America. That the women were the nurturers in the home, and they took care of a lot of things in Africa. So, and I get that we make it, about slavery, but we've got a history way before slavery, where black women have always been strong. And don't forget that in Wakanda, that we had the warrior women. They were actually a warrior African women that actually fought and protected the men. So we got rich history. It just don't start with slavery. Go back, and I think if you do a little bit more research, you'll find out that we brought that from Africa.
And I don't know if you've seen, it was on Twitter the other morning, and I meant to send it to you because I spliced it up a little bit. But it was these two little babies. They couldn't have been more than a couple years old.
You did.
And they came running to each other,
Yeah,
and the little white baby was running to the black baby. He said, "Friend, I miss you, friend." And you see them hugging, and they just had this embrace, and do not give the wiser about whether the color of either one of them.
You
He
know,
just
it's
knows
taught.
that when
It's
he's
just
with
taught.
him, he has a good time, and he loves his friends. So when he saw him, he was so happy to see him. And I think that, you know how people say, I got white friends, I got black friends, I got Asian. You know, I just got people in my life that I get excited to see because they're just amazing people. There are people who've come into my life from college, from high school, from my business, you know, from since working, that when I see
Sorry,
them,
you making these
they,
faces.
you know,
No,
seriously.
but I was gonna say that we all could learn from these kids because one thing that we need to know about racism is that it's taught. It's not something you're born. You're not born a racist.
Right.
You're just not born a racist.
Right.
Somewhere somebody told you either better than certain people or that certain people think they better than you, and that's all it is. And when you watch kids interact, and I wish all races can watch it and see it and see how kids play with each other, and they can tell the other one is darker or lighter or whatever, but it's not an issue on being a friend. And we can, and this the other
Love you,
part
Kay.
about people that don't want to see color. No, I want you to see my brownness and my
Yes.
blackness, and I want to see your paleness and your
Right.
mayonnaise-ness.
Right.
But
and so
but
even
we
even
can
when we're
enjoy that
making fun of
space.
each other, even when you know you if you know a black or because culturally there's
That's
things that are just
fine,
different,
but
right?
not hateful.
But right, not hateful banter, but for that banter where you kind of joking at each other and doing different stuff like that. But it is a learned behavior, and I think more people need to get away from that. Like today, I had one of my former students got picked up by ICE, and his pregnant wife came and asked me to write a letter of recommendation for him, saying the type of kid he was when he was in school, and I did. And he was an amazing kid. So they got him on the phone because he's in whatever the holding facility, and he was just like, "Thank you so much, Miss Keisha." He was like, "When I get out, you know, I'm having a baby boy. I'm gonna bring him to come see you." And so I prayed with the wife and everything afterwards. But it's just one of those things where it's like, just because now had it been 100 years ago that he came over or his family came, it wouldn't be the same conversation. You know, and so I'm just thinking and he's really an amazing person, period, regardless if he is of Hispanic descent or not. And I thought that was just, that was just that's how my
ICE
day
should be
ended.
outlawed.
I'm telling you, that's
ICE
how my
should
day
be-
ended.
So ICE should be outlawed. Let's get that straight, because that's one of the things that we're working on is getting rid of ICE. Getting rid of ICE. It
Yeah.
makes no sense picking people up. For what?
Yeah.
And they're picking up the people that are great citizens. You're picking up people who are actually productive to America.
And an amazing artist, baby. He redid. He's just amazing.
No,
I
but
really
that's
love
the
him.
point I'm saying.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
according to Mr. 45, he think we're getting the worst. No, we're not getting the worst. We can attest to the fact that we're getting some of the best that wanted to come to America because they had an opportunity to live better.
Yep. All right, so we're going to kind of do a little recap real quick on Jay-Z and the whole NFL thing. So now Rick Ross was in conversations at GQ with him and Dwayne Wayne were kind of chopping it up, and they were saying if they had an opportunity to buy an NFL team, they would. But I liked how Dwayne read. I feel like it's a little low shade to Jay-Z because he says, if I'm going to do this, I need this opened up for others. I don't want to be the only one at the table. I never want to be the only one eating well. I want other people at the table so I can have a great conversation with everybody and everything well. And I just think they talked about the whole Jay-Z thing, which he was in the news again this week. This past week was because he had made the comment. We're going to talk about that in a second. But when you think about him coming to the table with Goodell, it's like sometimes you got to know when to bring the right people to the table. Especially the ones who open up, even if, regardless if you say it or not, the doors for you to do what you need to do. So I thought that was kind of cool, and I thought it was just a little low key shade. But they said if they had an opportunity, they would buy an NFL team. All right, so R. Kelly is a no-show in Minnesota for his sex
Ain't he
crime
locked
case.
up in New York?
No, and an arrest warrant is issued for him.
That sound familiar.
Okay, Popeyes is
Hey,
still
you took
sold
me.
out
Girl,
of the
where my
Insanity
mama
popular
went there
chicken
yesterday,
sandwich.
talking
Wait a
about
minute.
They ain't got no chicken sandwich.
Now,
Baby,
wait.
They ain't had chicken sandwiches in weeks.
Listen, with no re-update in sight. Now,
I thought
naturally,
they said November.
they thought selling the chicken without the bun was a great idea. No, seriously, they really about to make customers provide their own bread
They were
for the
bringing their own
thirsty
bread.
over chicken. So apparently they have, of course, I don't know where this bread is coming from. Where they
They went to the grocery store and bought
No,
buns.
I'm talking about why would the bun stop production?
No, I'm saying they ran out of buns.
I get
oh,
you.
well,
I'm saying, why would the buns be the thing that stopped production until November? Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh no, I don't know about that.
So,
'Cause
all right.
they were like customers went and got their own buns.
And I need you to stop talking about
chicken.
Kanye West having a Sunday service, girl.
But when
Stop
it came up and said it was sold out Chicago, so naturally I'm like, how much are these tickets? I need to know what people are paying to go see Kanye.
What are they
West
paying
Sunday.
to see Kanye?
$0.
$0.
I said it better been because that ain't no Sunday service. That's a concert. I had to look it up. So it is free to the public.
Yes.
So the tickets are sold out, and I think they're saying that wrong. Just we're out of.
Well, it is
spots.
sold out, so that means that
If
no
it's
more,
free.
Yeah, you could be sold out,
Yeah, but
meaning
I'm
no
just
space
saying,
available.
You didn't sell nothing, but go ahead.
Okay,
I understand.
no
the
space
concept.
available.
No space available.
Okay, so I was watching the Worldly News a little while ago before I had to go to this meeting, and they were talking about this former Ohio State cheerleader. She's 17 years old, got pregnant 2 days after her prom, gave birth at home, killed the daughter, and then disposed of her body. So they found out because she had to go to the doctor a couple of months later, and she was telling, the doctor was like, wait a minute, how you could tell that And
She had
so
a baby.
she comes clean about it. She just got to quit it.
Yeah, because she white.
Look like Barbie.
Because this happened to me at ASU. We were in the new C.J. Dunn Towers, and we had 11 stories.
Mm-hmm.
It was the tallest building in Montgomery. And the chick on the 11th floor, where my home girl was in her dorm room, she was in a suite mate. You know what suite mate?
Mm-hmm.
And she had a baby girl and threw the baby in the garbage can. And on campus, she had the baby in the dorm room, and they gave her. I think they threw the book at her. And I never understood that because I'm like, who got her pregnant? Where he at? And they said it was one of the campus police.
Well,
and what I didn't understand,
but he didn't throw the baby away.
She already had a 4-year-old. Her parents was taking care of.
Oh my Jesus! Well,
And she
just
was at
take the
school
baby
in the
to the.
dorm.
They let you take the baby to a hospital, to a what do you call it? To a fire department, to a police station.
A
Most
church,
states have
whatever.
that. Yeah, on a church step with no questions asked. You get no penalty,
Well,
anything
and
against you.
I had a cousin of a cousin who in Alabama because of people doing this, they let the women come have the baby, no question asked. You leave
Yeah.
the baby at the hospital.
Yeah, because there's so many people who trying to have babies that can't, that'll love them
Well,
babies. So
and
God
so-
bring them into the world. Let them be cared for.
I got to go further. If she had a 4-year-old, you know what it take to get pregnant, don't you, boo? You know how
but
not to get
now,
pregnant.
I will tell you this. Ignorance is bliss, meaning that there are tons of women who never really got that. Now, granted, having a baby, doing all that kind of stuff, but their parents, it's like they don't do a good job of educating them, period. So they can't advocate for themselves. Because even being with this dude, and don't worry about it, baby. I'm going to pull out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously. Like, so some of these girls believe that stuff.
Well, and that's the other part about sex education.
Right, that's what I'm
Because-
saying.
And parents, I don't want my children to learn about sex. If you don't have the guts, you better
You
let
better
somebody
talk
talk to
about
them.
it.
And my thing is,
Talk
and
about
I
it.
decided when I start having kids
Mm-hmm.
that I'm not comfortable about talking with kids about sex, but I decided I was not comfortable with a young grandmother. I was not comfortable with a child with an STD. I would not be comfortable with a sexually active child
Right.
without the right information, because friends tend to spread the wrong stuff when they
Yeah.
discussing sex education. So I make sure that whatever I tell my kids that they understand,
So I know.
what's going
So I
on,
know
that
you're gonna
I
get.
told them.
You're gonna get a kick out of this one. So calm down, okay? There was a 17-year-old biracial swim champ, killing the game. She got 2 sisters, all of them killing the game. She gets disqualified and her win taken away from her because she had a wedgie. And the referee, Jill Blackstone, who apparently has had other issues and they're trying to get her fired from doing it, she was basically saying that she could see her cheeks touching. So they said the issued swimwear that is ordered and issued by the coach, these girls are got a little more junk in their trunk than the next girl. And so They went back, they rescinded it. She got her trophy back and everything. And they said this girl is like looking at like Olympic gold stuff. And this woman was just picking at her, and really was, because when you see the picture of it, it's not like nothing. I mean, she's just a black girl.
I don't even care. This is the thing. Why we got to go?
I told you was about to go through that now.
Why we got to go through all these hoops for some ignorant shit? Did she swim the damn thing and get her?
She
title?
swam and won, yeah, and killed the game. Like there was nobody close.
So what are you talking about?
She violated whatever regulations.
But she didn't, because they rescinded. She didn't violate no regulation. And you full of shit, lady. And I'm glad that when my child got
She was wearing the exact same suit like every other girl in the race. I talk about this all the time when I talk about my girls who come to school with those little, remember at one time them little t-shirt dresses, everybody was wearing them, right? Well, of course, little black girls are going to look different in these dresses than little white girls. So I will see these girls walking down the hallway, and you will see no one say nothing. But as soon as the girl, blop, 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 that booty get the wobbling up in there, then it's all, I'm like, no. We either have to stop the dress, period. We're not going to body shame nobody. Okay, and I do mentor girls all the time, because like if you feel like you've dressed inappropriate or doing, if I feel like, and I'll say, hey, what you doing? I mean, we talk about that, but I'm not gonna body shame you. I'm not gonna do it.
What's up with the little Daisy Duke shorts? Because I see them, that's all they wear at the
with
school.
little
It
cheeks
could be
on out.
50 degrees outside, and that, I mean, we're in Florida.
And
I'm like,
Bradley says black folks are just fine as hell.
we surely is. That's what I'm about to say.
All right,
so
so
I ain't never had no.
So
booty.
let me tell you how your girl Rihanna. The fans can now shop for Savage X Fendi lingerie collection on Amazon, girl. I went on there and listen.
2 for $29.
What? Well, no, not on Amazon.
29.
It ain't 2 for $29 on Amazon.
It is on Instagram.
Oh, okay. But it's really reasonable, and she's got all different kinds and go all the way up to like a 48 triple D or something. Like she makes sure everybody can have it. 46 triple D. That's what it is, from a 32A. And so I was like, okay, let me go check it out. I know it's pretty good. All right, so John Bolton, the former national security advisor, is out, and him and Trump having a little beef.
So you know the 45, the head ignorant one in charge. He notified people on Twitter. So the night before, John, his name John Bolton, he said that he told him, do you want me to resign? He told him, no, I want you to hold that off. And then, his backward lying self going to post that morning that he fired him. And so while they were having the discussion, like we're discussing the podcast now, John Bolton text the anchors and said,
Fox News,
yeah, on Fox News that I offered to resign, he told me not to. Mm-hmm. So, now I find out he's firing me, and they was like, do you want us to tell the people that? And he was like, yeah, tell them. Tell the people. And so this dude, John Bolton, I was looking at his life. If you listen to some of the stuff he said, you would be like, how did he ever become national security advisor to anything? For number one.
Well, your boy said there's team people lined up to take his job. Because you know why? Because they know that working for Trump is going to be easy, because Trump makes all the decisions and they won't have to do nothing. And that is verbatim. I heard him say that this evening out his mouth.
So this is what the breakup was over. He called himself was going to have a secret meeting with Afghanistan and the Taliban and all of that. It would have been this week. The week of 9/11.
Mm-hmm. So that rolls into this, the Department of Homeland Security Inspector General?
Well, it does, but so it would have been this week, the week of 9/11. I'm just going to make one point. Trump think that 9/11 was 7/11. So maybe that's why he didn't realize that it would be this week. But the Department of Homeland Security Inspector General was called in to make an impartial decision about whether this guy named Bakaj, Bakaj, resulted in they suspended him, and he lost his security clearance. And we know about security clearance because we're in one of these cities where having a security clearance could get you a whole bunch of jobs on base. But he lost everything. So what he was there was an investigation happening at the CIA, and he was actually what's the word I'm trying to use? I hate that it's late night and I can't think of it. He was cooperating with the investigation. And he was doing his job. He cooperated with the investigation. And once they found out what he was cooperating, and the CIA kicked them out. So the Department of Homeland Security just went back and said that the whistleblowers has finally been held to account for his misconduct, and they were saying that they should have never did that the CIA retaliated against them. And this is what I don't understand, because we're at jobs, and when you have an issue on your job, right, and you want to discuss it, like if you want to go to the superintendent and you discuss the issue you're having, and all of a sudden they kick you out the classroom and say you're out of here because, and you're like, wait a minute, I just had
It does
issue.
depend on what job you have, though.
Yeah, but and this is what he's saying. This you're working for the federal government.
Because I'm like, you can
So
talk
it
all
was
you
an
want,
active
but it's almost
investigation.
like the military. There are certain things you're not going to the colonel and saying. I mean, and military people tell you that in a minute. No matter how right, wrong, and different it is, if you want to protect your career, there's just certain stuff, and it all goes back to that whole, just how it was funded. But one thing
had label him a whistleblower.
So
is
one
what
thing
they
your
had
boy did do, historically black colleges and universities with a religious affiliation will no longer be restricted from assessing federal funding for capital projects. So capital projects is when you go to build, repair buildings, you're building new space, you're doing all this kind of stuff. And so for the longest, they could not tap into that money. So Trump apparently now then opened up the door, and he praised these institutions as pillars of excellence and engines of advancement for African American citizens, and said his administration is deeply devoted to seeing that they prosper.
So the problem with that, again,
What you mean?
There's a problem.
What you mean?
The problem with that is, again, it tells you that 45 does not understand the separation of church and state. So the reason they couldn't get those funds is because they're religious based. So federal funds cannot be used for religious based. So my money don't go to a Muslim action or a church action or something that I don't want to be affiliated with. And you can't use taxpayers' money for private people's religion. I've had this fight before when I worked for municipality. If you got to know the law. When you're dealing with taxpayers' monies, there's a reason why these people could not reach these funds. And I know that Trump thought he was doing something good, but it's another issue of his ignorance. So when we're talking about the First Amendment, which became America's doctrine for church-state separation, no coercion in religious matter, no expectation to support a religion against one's will, and that's what you're doing, against one's will, and religious liberty encompasses all religions. In some, citizens are free to embrace or reject a faith. Any support for religion, financial or physical, must be voluntary. So now it's not voluntary. You're using our taxpayers' money to fund whatever these religious based, whether they're HBCUs or not. And again, it goes back to the law. He's just, when we say he's a criminal, this is what he is. He's a criminal. No church will get federal funds. That's why they have a tax-free. That's why they're not involved with taxpayers' money. That's why they do not get federal funds.
Well,
because of separation.
Well, churches,
state.
they do a non-for-profit.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's how
don't
they
pay
get
taxes.
Right. But I'm just saying they do a non-for-profit to get federal funding. So like there are churches who have non-for-profits attached to them that they will do get the federal funding for the food aid stuff. They'll get
But
the
it
federal funding.
doesn't go to their church.
I get
it
it.
goes
That's
to
what I'm
people
saying.
in the community.
Right.
So
So-
it's under the umbrella of the church, but it's not for just their church. So when you
So it's not- so
it's not for the money wouldn't go to that church only for those church members.
No, I got it. So
Okay.
so in the same instance, if you have a university or something that's in a community
Mm-hmm.
and say they're going to rebuild, because it's capital funds, they're going to rebuild the convention center or whatever to this university. That university is not the only people who use the convention center. So if the convention center is then being used by everyone in the community, there is nothing other than the fact that they're taking.
Says they're going to be used by
But okay, so again, we don't know the logistics behind it. What I'm saying to you is that because they're capital funds, to go further to see exactly what that means and what they're using. I get what you're saying, but I'm just like, I do.
That's the reason I'm saying that's why they have not been able to get federal funds. It's not because people didn't want them to have federal funds. It's because of the separation of church and state.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, being in Alabama, and we had a mayor, Moore, whatever, not a mayor, a judge, Moore, who wanted the 10 Commandments outside of his chambers, and he could not understand the separation of church and state. No, everybody don't believe in your 10 Commandments. And then you have a law to uphold. You have the federal law to uphold, not the biblical law.
Okay, so that's the same, and like I said, just the same. Like when there are states that reject federal money because they try to tell them what to do with it. So there are states that say, "Hey,
But
we don't want Obamacare because it means that we have to do X, Y, Z. We don't want this because it's blah 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 blah." I'm more than sure, even though he made this general blanket statement to it, that it's gonna come with this caveat of what if you use these capital funds to build this building or to do whatever. It's gonna have a whole litany of stuff
Baby, let
that
me
you
tell
can and
something. That
cannot
man
do
ain't
or do
got
whatever.
No damn caveats
No,
going
it's
on.
not. It
No,
ain't.
no,
It
no.
ain't
You
just
said,
him.
You said I'm really sure it's gonna come. It ain't. What he's
No,
doing
we
is,
can't say it's not because
You can't say it is. You cannot say
okay,
it is.
all right, let's
There
move on
is a
because I don't even want to go there
reason.
today. You
There
got
is
it. I
a
heard you
reason.
that no
There
church
is a
separated. Okay, go to the next one. Semi, whatever her name
Herman's
is.
story is we've talked about this on here about vaping. So this young lady went to college. She had been vaping since she was 15 and ended up having a respiratory issue where they had to put her in a medical induced coma. And while she's in the coma, her cousin tells her, "Mama, you know she be vaping." And they was like, "No, they had no idea." And her mom said her room smelled like bubble gum and strawberries and candy. She didn't know that was the vaping stuff. And this is now back in the news. And so what we're finding out is that most of these young people think that it's harmless. She was in a medical induced coma. And when she came out, she couldn't talk, but she wrote saying, "Stop vaping now." And she was addicted to it. She said she never considered herself a smoker because she was vaping. You see the disconnect? She never considered herself a smoker. And she was smoking in the vaping, she had marijuana sometimes in it. And the name of the company is Juul, Juul. They're marketing to kids, and we've already discussed this here. And now we're finding that some of the statistics are saying just last month, 17-year-old, this kid named Tristan Zofil spent 18 days in the hospital after suffering from a vaping-related illness, during which he said he was throwing up everywhere. On Monday night, a Texas high schooler was also rushed to the hospital after vaping. And Dr. Melamed is one of countless health officials who fear that vaping-related illnesses are an emerging crisis. Among high school students, there was a 78% increase in e-cigarette use between 2017 and 2018, according to the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration.
So my niece, the first 2 weeks of her middle school, first 2 weeks, I think, she got in trouble for vaping because it tastes like bubble gum. So the guy had the little friend had her and two other little friends, and they were back there behind the bleachers just vaping it up. And so her dad, and I guess this had been going on for like 4 or 5 days. And my brother said he was noticing she would come home and she'd be sleepy, and just her attitude and stuff was changing. And so then he was like, "What is going on with her?" And then he got the call because they called him. And so of course, she has since stopped doing it. But the bottom line is that they were saying from the very beginning, even with the FDA, like I still don't even trust the government when they try to regulate stuff either. But these are new things that you don't know what's in them, how addictive they are, all this kind of everything. And you see people all over. I mean, folks got them vape machines everywhere, vaping it up, and you just have to be careful.
That's my other thing. I don't want to inhale nothing that you vaping. And so they said that as of September 10th, there have been 6 confirmed deaths and over 450 possible cases of lung illness, because that's what they found with her. Her lungs was getting filled up with fluid. And in 33 states associated with e-cigarettes. So this is the other thing. She lost 50 pounds. She used to be interested in dancing, and all she did after that, she didn't even realize the connection of not wanting to eat because all you want to do is vape. It was addictive. And she didn't even realize that all I want to do is vape. I don't want to do nothing. Her grades slipped. And my thing was, and I guess I always say, how do they get money? Did she have a job? Cause I be like, how you get money to vape? That'll cancel me from vaping if I got to. She would do equivalent of a pack of cigarettes a day.
Right, but I'm like, you see these kids walking around with I got my feelings hurt because I went to go buy me some new sneakers. I was like, okay, because I'm really trying to just be on this budget. I got some other stuff I'm trying to do, and I'm like, okay, I've been eating at home and just all this stuff. So I said, well, I need some new sneakers because my running shoes, it's time for another pair.
You just talked yourself
I went
into
in
that,
there.
go ahead.
No, I didn't.
Yes,
Well,
you
what?
did.
Need a new
wear your regular running shoes.
No, I mean, they're falling apart. Need a new pair. Okay, I'm sitting there like, so I go in there to check it out. $200. I was like, yeah, no. I guess I won't be running. I'm gonna put these shoes on and just, I mean, they kind of falling apart, but we gonna make it work until I can figure out something, because I'm not spending $200 on those sneakers. So then I'm at school the very next day and I'm just walking through the hall with the kids, and I see these same type of sneakers on like a good 15, 20 kids. I was like, oh my God, they walking around here with $200 shoes on their feet, and then looking at a $700 phone and just all of that. So trust me, if they got a habit of vaping, they done found some place to do
Yeah,
it.
well, I'm like, where y'all get the money? Because y'all my children, you won't have it. So we've got a new show coming out, Mixed-ish.
I don't like that name.
Yeah, because we got Blackish and
I
we got
know.
Grownish.
Stop it
I
with
like
the ish.
Mixed-ish.
Like, I know.
But anyway, so our girl Tracy Ellis Ross is she's gonna be the lead in that show, and it's about her growing up as a mixed child.
Mm-hmm.
So and I mean the thing is, we've got a lot of people, like we both have nieces that are biracial, so it's like I think they're gonna really play into that and how they growing up and the different things. And so one of the things that she talked about is growing up was her hair. She just didn't want it. And she was on Trevor Noah's show, and he was like, oh my God, I wanted straight hair. In Africa, he wanted straight hair, and he got the relaxer. He said his head was on fire, and they was like, oh, it's working. He was like, no, this is on fire. And she said, I did that too. So they was talking about the hair is the main thing that kind of bring your self-esteem down, because you feel like you're different. But she's got a new line of natural hair products called Pattern Beauty. And she's describing it. She said delicious and joyous and bring that bounce back in. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm about to go get me some Pattern Beauty. The way she's describing it was one of those things where she was saying that she didn't know how to take care of her hair, and or doing a lot of damage to it. And now she's partnering. She's got a new product for us to come out, and especially for mixed kids. So that's one of the main issues, because I've had.
Well, I'll promise you,
I'm
gonna buy it for my nieces, because we constantly are trying to figure out. One has super thick hair, and then the other one, so it's just
yeah.
a
My
mix of
nieces,
two.
I got one, and I used to call her Diana Ross, because her hair be like, and then the other one hair is straight. I mean, barely
Yeah.
a little bit of curl pattern, but barely one. And child.
So not only that, Tracy, and on their October 8th episode of Blackish, she bringing the girlfriends back, and they had the ladies from Girlfriends, and they all look still amazing. Like they all getting. I mean, so they need to get back into this acting thing and doing their thing, and it probably should be a reboot of Girlfriends. I like that. And she said it's been from the 2000s, so they stopped in I think 2008. So it's been a minute since they did
Wives.
that. Girlfriend Wives. All right.
From girlfriends to wives or grandmas at this point.
So I was watching on, I think it was Jimmy Fallon, that he had Jamie Foxx and Michael B. Jordan. And Michael B. Jordan kind of got behind this movie, this film called Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson. And he actually wrote a book. And Bryan Stevenson was a young lawyer who found the Equal Justice Initiative, a legal practice dedicated to defending those most desperate and in need, the poor and wrongly condemned, and the women and children trapped in the farthest reach of our criminal justice system. And one of his first cases was that of Walter McMillan, a young man who was sentenced to die for a notorious murder he insisted he did not commit. So the case drew Bryan into a tangle of conspiracy, political machination, and legal bricksmanship, and transformed his understanding of mercy and justice forever. So they tell this story. So in the film, Jamie Foxx plays McMillan, and then Bryan Stevenson is played by Michael B. Jordan. So you saw this clip, and they said it was at one point, he said he had to do, I guess, this piece. Michael B. Jordan had to do this piece in the court system. He said it was so impactful. And Jamie said that he kind of just transformed into it. And it was just like everybody was watching, and it was not a dry eye in a place. And he said he went up to touch him to tell him he had done a great job. And he said he kind of jerked from him. And they said, what'd you do? And Mike said, I went to the back. He said, and I just cried. I just cried, and I just cried, and I just cried. Because all I could think about was black men, and black men being pulled over, and black men who are sitting in jail for things they didn't do. And he said, and I just cried and cried and cried. So I ordered the book. It's like $7.80 off of Amazon. Just Mercy. So I'm gonna read it before the movie comes out. But I know you have roots in Montgomery, Alabama,
and I do Audible.
And so I think that so maybe you want to do it as well, so we can have a discussion about it. And they even have a study guide. So I'm thinking about doing it with my kids at in school. But I was really interested in that because your aunts and uncles who still live there may have known him. You know, may have known something. So I'd be curious if you ask him. Yeah, ask him if he knew what was. Well, he might have still been around when it happened. So Walter McMillan, ask him and see if they know about it.
To be or not to be, we don't have. I want to throw this in there because it just dawned on me when you were saying that. And I had Malik Yoba. Have you heard? Oh my God! So I forgot about it. So Malik Yoba came out on Instagram saying that he's attracted to transgender women. So he got drugged, and then his kids came out and they were upset because he didn't tell them that he this is what they said, he didn't tell them before he came out there because they've been catching a lot of flack.
So he's saying he's gay?
No.
What do you mean?
Like women. They're transgender.
Men that are women.
That have now are transgendered into a woman. He's attracted to transgender women.
So he's gay.
So his ex-wife, he not gay. And so and I'm going to tell you, so on the Breakfast Club, they brought him in because it's been a big mess. So he came with two transgender people and Malik Yoba, and they spoke so well. You got to listen to the interview on YouTube. And he was speaking and saying that, you know, he described himself as a heterosexual male that is attracted to women. And and so some, you know, they're describing, but he fits everybody's, you know, a heterosexual male attracted women. And when you
are we gonna add another letter for this?
No another letter. And so the transgender community was talking about how their plight of, you know, being looked down upon and being, you know, drugged, like they dragged him for saying what he said, and it was like, why? He can like whoever he wants to. But he got drugged, so he had to come out on the show. So, I was just like, whoa, Malik Yoba, you telling it. But after he did that, another transgender person came out and said Malik Yoba had sex with her when she was a teen. And that's controversy. I don't know. He didn't mention that, but yeah. But I was like, so you got to go check that out. So to be or not to be, or your sexual attraction, he's attracted to transgenders. And he came out and said that it's a community that needs people to stand up for. Because, you know, we got Laverne Cox. We got a couple of other transgender people that are out there. That's one is, I think it's for Rihanna's Savage Fenty line, that she's got a transgender model.
Okay. So in September is National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and I just want to talk about what are some of the common warning signs for suicide. We're just going to do a couple. Threat or comments about killing themselves, I wish I wasn't here, increased alcohol, drug use, aggressive behavior, social withdrawal. So those are some of them that you need to look at. And if you say they putting affairs in order, saying goodbye, giving away possessions, okay? So please, guys, we're the first detectors, your family and the people that are around them. You know what they were liking when they start to get more withdrawn. You know these things, so pay attention to it. And don't be too busy to pay attention. What are the risk factors of suicide? Having an underlying mental health illness, family history of suicide, substance abuse, access to firearms, a serious chronic medical illness. Because sometimes people who deal with something, they've been dealing with it forever, ever, they just tired, you know?
And
it's almost like when you get
universal health care so people can actually see the doctor they need to see. Because now people just go to the emergency room and get a Band-Aid. Like, no, we need you to be under a doctor's care. Right. For whatever medication.
So if you got recent tragedy, gender, men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide than women are. Advancing ages, race, Native Americans and Caucasian more likely than other races to commit suicide.
Well, and then let's go there. They said black women are the least likely to commit suicide. We're less than 10%.
But we're more likely to think about it. I'm gonna tell you about that down here.
That's the point I'm saying. We're the least likely to actually go through with it, even though we go through all this stuff happens to us on a daily basis. And I'm pretty sure women thought about committing suicide, but they're saying that black women statistically are the least likely.
So then they're saying
to
women are
commit
more likely
suicide.
to
It's
attempt
rare.
suicide, while men are more likely to complete it. So women will attempt it, men will complete it. Whites and Native Americans are more at risk of suicide than any other race. And what can we do to impact suicide? You have to ask, okay? Research shows that people are having thoughts of suicide feel relief when someone asks them about it, when they care enough about what's going on with them. They don't, it's like kind of, I know it seems crazy, but nobody, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to kill my, but if you come, how
Some
you
people
doing?
say
What's, I
that.
know it, but I mean, you
Yeah.
can reduce and their ideations of suicide if you ask, and because they may want somebody to just say something so they can just kind of unload and you can get them some help. Okay.
Well,
Keep 'em
we were told to do wellness checks, and they had this thing going on Facebook. Hey, if you hadn't heard from me or something, do a wellness check. Just call and say, hey, I hadn't heard from you in a while. How are you doing? Because you never know what somebody's saying, and just the how are you doing is enough to stop somebody from wanting to commit. They just want to know somebody even care how I'm doing.
Right.
So-
Keep them safe. Do this by removing any lethal means from them. Be there. Individuals more like less depressed and less suicide after speaking to someone who's supportive or listening and not being judgmental. Help the individual stay connected. Follow up, like you said, establish ongoing support treatment. So don't just be the one time and then you're not following up with them. So 90% of people who have suicidal thoughts have an underlying mental illness, and mental illness can be safely and effectively treated with medication and talk therapy.
A lot of it have to do too with grief. Some people can't deal with the loss of a loved one, and we noticed that with St. John, what's his name, the guy from Young and the Restless. Remember his son died, and he turned around and committed suicide. He did. They say he couldn't deal, and we saw the tape where they were trying to talk to him and tell him his life was important, and you could see the blankness in his face where he just tuned it all out, and then he went and committed suicide. And I think that we've got to tell people about their life being important.
Okay.
That they're
So,
important.
yes, mental illness tends to run in the family. So with that being said, yes, you can have a mental illness without it being running in your family, but it tends to run in families. So if you have people that have that, or mental illness when it comes down to being depression runs in family, a lot of different mental illness, then suicide is a caveat to that. And there are certain medications that can cause suicidal thoughts too. Now, some people don't realize that. You get put on new blood pressure medicine. I'm not saying it's blood pressure medicine. I'm just as an example. You can have things that happen where you're not really realizing. You're like, why am I thinking like this and what's going on? But they could be treating something else. Because remember, these are genetically modified drugs. That being produced in a lab, and they do experiments on them. But they, you know how they do that little man that talk at the end. Side effects are blah 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 blah. And he say all those things, and you go in there. You go to the doctor, they give you medicine, make you feel better, and then what you do, you take it, and they give you that sheet to tell you all of the stuff that can happen with it, but you don't pay attention to it. And then now all of a sudden you like depressed, you're feeling all these things. So please make sure that you're reading the side effects, especially for children, because what's amazing, they did this study, and a lot of children medication has suicidal tendencies. So you got this 10 or 11-year-old on this new diabetes medicine or on these headache medicine or whatever, and then you come in and so you still have to be careful, because I mean, I really, you know what I'm saying, with the whole opioid crisis and how Johnson Johnson got sued and had to pay all this money and all this kind of everything. People think that just because the little reefer man is out here pushing drugs and doing whatever, but you need to be worrying about these folks with these suits on.
Prescription drugs, prescription.
Okay, and we believe the most important thing to do about the stigma associated with mental illness is to arm people with clear information. At the end of the day, increasing empathy towards people who have mental illness is critically important. There's so much fear and shame surrounding mental illness. Have conversations like this one is important to end the stigma. So talk to your folks, and especially with Black people, because we don't like to talk, and we too don't like to talk about how we feeling. We don't like to talk about depression. We don't like to talk about mental illness, but that stuff is
there
real.
Ain't no mental illness. I just take it to Jesus. You know how many times I done heard I take it to
But
Jesus.
outside of that, people who don't who are African American don't believe in Jesus. It's the same thing.
I'm just saying that we were saying
you can't
within
come and talk to
African
nobody.
You know, you say I'm gonna take it to Jesus, and you ain't took nothing to nobody, and you around here, and you got people. Jesus got people right here on earth that can help you. So
Yeah.
utilize that too. Nobody's saying don't take it to Jesus, but don't let that be your only recourse.
Yeah.
You have other options here too.
My cousin Derek committed suicide years ago, and I carried that for years with me because we were so close growing up. And I remember when we just started drifting from each other, and these guys stuck him up. He got shot in the back. They stole his truck and his money and everything. And then his aunt was giving him, prescription drugs that he got addicted to. And I think they probably had some suicidal tendencies in these drugs that he was taking. And he was just went into this funk. And I remember seeing him, and he didn't really want to see me. And instead of me pushing in and really grabbing him back, because, I can love unconditionally. I don't care what's going on with you. I thank God for that ability where I ain't got to be judging you about everything. I'm just going to love you for who you are. If I'm going to talk about you, we're going to do it right here, And so I was glad that over the years, I've gotten to the place where I feel like I've gotten better with that. But every once in a while, I think about them. And I just don't ever want anybody to feel like you don't have somebody to talk to. Like, that's got to be the most loneliest feeling in the world. I don't care if you call up Keisha and she might clown you the whole time you talking to her. You got to have somebody you can talk to. You know what I'm saying? Because no, and you will. I know you will.
Especially if it's something serious. And then I'm going to tell you, listen here, your life is important.
Yeah.
Stop talking like you ain't important.
Right. And I'm saying, with Keisha got to roll up and come over there and
ask my kids. I would get you therapy.
Yeah.
And ask Aiden was like, this helper done brought me to a psychiatrist. Hey, I will. Listen, if you don't want me to tackle you, we'll get you there.
Yeah.
But it's that thing of realizing that something is going on. I'm not equipped with I'm not a psychiatrist, so I need to get you to a professional to make sure that you're getting absolutely what you need. And that's the thing about being a parent. If I don't have the resources to do, if I can't do it, I need to find a person who has the means and can actually listen.
And I think there are times that ebbs, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, that ebb and flow in your life where you just had a moments where it just seemed like
I had
you
one
just,
in June.
you know what I'm saying? You just in this funk, and those are the times when you need to be around people that's going to build you up and lift you up. And it don't mean that you get some long-term mental whatever, but it's just everybody goes through that. And that's why they tell you fellowship one with the other, because when you do that, somebody recognizes that and they can grab you in and be like, hey, come on, what you need? What we got to do? No questions asked. Let's do this. Let's whatever, So we just got to be there for each other. All right. So we got a few. Ain't nobody got time for that. So a South Florida woman who claimed to be a psychic fortune teller has been sentenced to 3 years and 4 months in prison for $1.6 million from a Texas woman to remove a curse from her family. Court records show that the 20-year-old Sherry Tina Unawanowicz was sentenced last week in Miami. She previously pleaded guilty to wire fraud. She must also pay restitution. Investigators say she met with the victim in Houston, gained the woman's trust, and convinced her that a curse had been placed on her and her family. And she claimed she needed large sums of money for crystals and candles to perform meditations that would lift the curse.
I don't think that lady should went to jail.
Let me tell you something.
I think the dummy in
Hey,
Texas
Nate.
that had how the hell you had $1.something million just to give away?
But outside of that, now everybody want to talk about God. I'm gonna tell you, He dwells in this place, baby. There ain't no curses dwelling in this place. Now I'm gonna get attacked, and the enemy gonna come. But I'm gonna tell you one thing, like my pastor said the other day. That was the lady's name, Unawanowicz. Sherry. She basically swindled a woman out of $1.6 million. Unawanowicz.
But anyway, this the thing. You are crazy. If first of all you believe as a curse and you got to give somebody money to get a curse off. If you got to give somebody money to give a curse off, then okay, you're beyond. You are mentally ill, and no, that lady don't need to go to jail.
The woman who stole the $1.6 million.
She didn't steal it. She gave it to her. She told her she needed it.
She swindled that woman out of it.
That's
when we talking about laws. If we talking about laws is laws, and she swindled that woman. All right, so ain't nobody got time for that.
So this court, and this is for me, it's a double-edged sword for this story. A court denies custody to parents who stopped chemo for their 4-year-old. And if you've ever seen anyone die from cancer, the chemo kills them. You see it just... I
mean, because it's a very strong...
It's got to kill the cancer cells, and it kills good cells with bad cells. And it's like, if you have to sit there and watch a loved one go through that, is that something... And I always get upset about this because we always have Christians that's so afraid to die. And I always be like, but God said we got a heaven, no pain, no... that you're gonna be in a better place. I think
everybody. Why it had to be Christians?
No, I'm saying that's what God promised us. Not everybody. Everybody religion don't get promised a heaven.
No,
I'm
you said
saying,
about dying. I said I think more people are afraid to die. It don't make a difference if you're Christian or not.
But I was using the religion, the fact that God promised us a better place as a
Uh-huh.
Christian. I don't know anybody else's religion. I only know about Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
So they promised us a better place, that we're going to go to a better place. And for the judge to come down on these parents, and I'm like, but that judge don't have to watch this 4-year-old go through some, and I've heard from people who say they stopped chemo and they were able to live the rest of their life, able to do things, because chemo stopped your ability to interact with people. You're so sick, you can't do stuff. So it was like, I just stopped the chemo and I could take my child to Disney World and we can have a good time. And yes, the cancer is still there, but my child isn't laid up in the bed dwindling away, through heart. And it's their decision. It's their child. And so I did not understand the judge taking custody away from them. I say it's a double-edged sword, but it's those parents' decision. They don't want to watch their child suffer on a possibility, because chemo does not guarantee you life. A lot of people have died with chemo. I don't want to sound like 45 because he say a lot of people all the time, but I'm saying we've known people to go through chemo and then realize, that the cancer comes back stronger.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what.
I don't even know how that judge made that decision. And to cut out the parents out of the 4-year-old life.
He was making ultimately his job is to make the decision for the person who can't make it for themselves. That's ultimately.
Yeah,
like, regardless if you agree with it or not, that was the point of it.
No, the point is, and this is why I say no, is because the parents made the decision for their child. I don't think the judge loves their child any more than they do.
I get it. But
No, I'm saying that's what I'm saying.
people.
So that means the
Okay,
hospital got the judge involved.
Right,
They didn't,
exactly.
But I'm saying let the parents, I'd get to make the decision.
But
for
see,
my
and
child.
that's almost like, when we were clowning Neva about the immunizations, right? So I'm like, okay, so you have your husband, ex-husband, the two of you guys, 4 other children that all have been immunized and they're fine, and then you make the choice not to immunize the last baby. And so if the judge had got involved in that, they would have been getting involved for the child's benefit to make decisions, because there are parents that are getting involved in cults and all kind of stuff that think they're making the right decisions for their kids because of religious reasons or because of whatever, and it's
their
not
choice.
It's not. I don't think it's their choice.
So,
I don't think a kid should have to suffer at the hands of a parent who can't make good choices.
Well, but that's the point that I think we are disagreeing with. I think the parents made a good choice. It wasn't parents that made bad choices. These are parents who love their kid, and to lose custody of your child because you didn't want to see your child go through chemo.
No, I think it's about
No, I'm
life.
saying that's what it is.
I think it's
And
about. I think it's
I
about
think that
preservation of
people don't
life. So if the
understand that it's their
diagnosis was to
child.
say the chemotherapy was going to help her, because sometimes they'll tell you, they'll give you just like Nate was saying, was the
percentage.
child terminal? So I guess I would just need more information on that.
Well, and that the point for me is that we have the courts to step in for bad parenting. I don't think this decision was a bad parenting decision. It was a decision that was made amongst their family, and it was a decision that they should have had the right to make for their child. I mean, I just feel like the court shouldn't have been involved.
Okay. All right. Well, we thank you guys for tuning in this Thursday with us. We are going
I know y'all watching the presidential debate.
Okay. And so we're going to sign off from the
Outhouse.
to the I always want to mess it up, to the penthouse.
Why? You look sleepy. Go on to bed, girl.
It's been a long
I'm
week, y'all, with
sleepy.
these churn. We out.
We out.
2 different point of views with the same name.
People stop. What they name is?
Keisha and Keisha. Keisha, Keisha and Keisha. Oh, Keisha and Keisha.